We're going through the real value of solar and battery systems. So I'll have a bit of a chat to you about my business. There's an introductory video that we recently did, which sort of spells a bit about us, and it's a good way to introduce what we do. Then we'll talk about how solar and battery systems work, so functionally how they work. Look at what discounts and rebates are available within Victoria and federally. Have a look at the value of solar, the value of batteries, and then I'll take you through the process that we take our customers through from the very point where they start with us all the way through to the end where their solar system's installed and we get their paperwork and everything organised. Then I'll go through a summary and we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So any questions you've got, if I haven't answered it, then happy to spend time with you guys and just chat about bits and pieces. Okay, so let's start with the video. Just, Kath, if you could just step in if this doesn't sound right or anything.
Hi, I'm Kevin and I run Solstra, a solar and electrical business on the Mornington Peninsula. We're a Clean Energy Council approved solar retailer and I'm accredited to design and install solar and battery solutions. And I'm also a licensed electrician. I've been in the solar industry for about 7 years now and it's been really rewarding helping families and businesses put money back into their own pockets and doing good for the planet at the same time. It's a really great industry to be in. I also have a business management background, so our customers can feel confident and secure that they're with a strong and reliable business for the long run. The reason that people come to us for solar and battery solutions is that we do everything from start to finish. We're the retailer, designer and installer, and we use our own staff. We've had some amazing feedback from our customers on the Peninsula about our personalised service and support. One thing we're really passionate about is giving every customer a great experience and making the whole process really clear and easy. If you're thinking about solar and batteries for your home, give us a call for a chat.
Alrighty, it's actually good rewatching that video. I haven't seen it for a little while, and it's good to illustrate some of the components that we're working with and see how we're working on the roof and so forth. So it's nice to see. Okay, so let me just get to my notes so I don't miss anything. So starting off with how do solar and battery systems work. So the illustration you can see on the screen here is for a grid-connected solar system, so without a battery, just a solar system on its own. So you can see that on the roof, it's illustrated that we've got solar panels providing DC power, which flows down into the grid tie inverter. The purpose of the inverter is to convert the power coming from the solar panels, which is DC or direct current, into the power that you use in your house, which is AC or alternating current. So it comes down, hits the inverter converts it from one type of power to another, and then it feeds along, and if you're using power in your house, the solar will feed that power source. If you need more power, it will bring it in from the grid. And if you've got excess power, it will actually send that solar power back out into the grid and give you a feed-in tariff. So when we're talking about solar, there's two components as far as the returns are concerned, which is the money that you save from not having to buy power and the money that you earn from feeding in back to the grid, which we'll go into a bit more detail about. So there's the second illustration, and in this one you can see in the left-hand side here we've got a battery as well. So again, the solar is producing power during the day, feeds down into the inverter. Now the inverter determines whether it needs to send that power to the house or send that power to charge the battery, or to draw from the battery and send the power through into the house. It's all automatic, it does everything on its own. There's no need to worry about any of that. It's all happening instantaneously. Okay. So it's pretty important to understand some of the rebates that are available. So there's two components that we generally work with. One is the federal government's STC discount, which is essentially a program that was established through the Carbon Trading Emissions Scheme and it's been around for a long time. It's actually currently reducing every year by 1/15. So they're phasing it out over a 15-year period. So as far as getting that STC discount, any system that we install is approved through the Clean Energy Council. We use approved products and we're an approved installer. So every system that we install automatically gets that STC discount and you don't have to apply for it. We just offer it as an upfront reduction on your total bill. It's important to note, so that STC discount I said is reducing by 1/15. That happens on the 1st of January of every year. So it's always good to try and get in prior to December 31st so that you can maximise the rebates that are available to you. The next rebate is the Solar Victoria Homes Program, or the Solar Homes Program. And there's a few components to that. So the first one is the solar PV rebate. So if you were getting solar installed on your house for the first time and you're eligible for that rebate, you would get $1,850 as a deduction off the total price for doing that. You can then also take advantage of the interest-free loan, which is a further $1,850. That interest-free loan gets paid back over a 4-year period and it's paid through your rates notice through your local council. So it's a fairly easy process. The application process is something that you as the customer do yourself. For some reason, the state government doesn't want solar installers knowing all of your personal information. I'm not too sure why, but I'm sure we'll leave that up to them. The application process can be a little bit fiddly, but Solar Victoria has a very good support staff who will help you through the process. And once you're approved, you get notified and we get notified at the same time. It's important to note too that rebate, since it was instigated 2 and a bit years ago, has dropped twice. So it started off at, I think, $2,225. Then it dropped down to $1,888 and now we're at $1,850. So again, we're seeing this is probably one of the best times as far as solar is concerned to invest in that for your home. So the value of solar. So we're just talking about solar here. We'll talk about batteries in the next slide. But the value of solar really is 2 things. It enables you to buy less electricity by generating your own power and feeding it into your house. And then the second part of that is the ability to earn feed-in credits. So the feed-in credits get paid through your retailer. And at the moment, I think the minimum is about 9.9 cents. Most people are paying sort of between 10 and 15 cents per kilowatt hour for what you sell. And to give you a bit of an understanding, you're generally paying between 25 and 30 cents per kilowatt hour for power at the moment. The other side of it is obviously with residential homes, you want to try and utilise that power as much as you can during the day, but we understand, other than during COVID situations, that most people are out. So there's things that you can do. We at home here pre-program the dishwasher to come on, the washing machine. We'll even turn the air conditioner on earlier in the day to cool the house down or heat it up so that the solar power is using that. When you're talking about solar for commercial premises, obviously the advantage is right there in front of you. Generally, you've got people coming into work every day. You might have refrigeration, air conditioning, all sorts of different power that you're consuming. And it's usually heaviest during the middle of the day when the solar is providing the most amount of power. So certainly, solar for commercial is very, very attractive as well. So what I'd like to do, if I can, is actually, before I go to that, sorry, just to give you an idea, if we talk about a standard residential solar system, usually we're sort of looking at around 6.6 kilowatts of solar power installed on a 5 kilowatt inverter. The reason for the oversizing is to provide more power more often, because panels work when there's more light, less light. So we're allowed to oversize a solar inverter by 33%, which gets us to that magic number of 6.6 kilowatts. So if we look at a 6.6 kilowatt system for an average home, you're able to save anywhere between $1,200 and $2,000 per annum, depending on how much power you're using and depending on how well you're able to utilize the power in your home. So let's have a look at a solution. So I'm just going to skip out of there. Okay, I'll just zoom in a little bit. All right, so this is actually my house here. Nicole and I are at 10 Tinten Court. If anyone's looking for me, here I am. So we installed solar on our house here back in February. So we thought it was a good one to use as an example. The software that we use is very detailed and very good at allowing us to do things remotely. So you can see here that we've done a layout which shows 21 solar panels facing pretty well north on the home. Something to, I guess, point out at this point too is that when we're talking about installing solar, generally we're looking at the east, north and west roofs of your home. The CSIRO actually recommends east and west as a more usable power split. North gives you the better total production. As far as I'm concerned, aesthetics are a very big part of what we do. You know, we've probably all driven around the neighbourhood and seen some pretty horrendous looking solar systems. So for us, you know, the panels are on the north roof at the back, so you can't see it from the front of the house, and we quite like it the way it's set up there. So it's looking good. Okay, so again, we're looking at a 6.6 kilowatt system. So our estimated annual production is 9,767 kilowatt hours. That's what the solar system will be able to produce over a 12-month period. It's good to see that the daily production per month. So your January quarter and your October quarter are obviously your bigger producers. So in January, we're looking at 37.8 kilowatt hours a day, and then it sort of starts to step down into sort of May, June, where it's about 15.5 kilowatt hours a day. So you know, a bit under half what you would get from your peak to your lowest point. But it's a nice way to see how the solar generally works for you. So just below that, you'll see that there's the utility costs. So for us, we were spending around $2,000 per annum on power. With the solar, it's going to reduce our overall cost by about 68%. And you know, we should be spending somewhere between $600 and $700 per annum now on power with that 6.6 kilowatt system. So basically, we're looking at a $1,400 saving per year based on today's prices. So 20-year financial summary. So this is, it just shows you what the net present value of the system will be. So over a 20-year period, you're going to save around $20,000. The payback period, 2 to 3 years on this solar system, and total return on investment over 20 years, 550%. A few of you were talking about stocks and shares before. I'm pretty sure any of you would be happy with a rate of return on cash of 40.6% per annum. That's pretty significant returns. So again, it illustrates the real value of solar and how. Stepping down a little bit further, so we've got a graph here that shows this electricity bill without solar and the electricity bill with solar. Power prices have continued to increase ever since I've been doing this, and probably well before then. My parents talk about the good old days when power cost nothing, but unfortunately we're not in that space anymore. Or maybe fortunately for me, because I do solar. But you know, based on an annual CPI increase of 3%, in a 20-year period, we're looking at doubling the cost of our power. The beauty of solar is that it just works with you. So what it's worth today, it's worth just as much, if not more, in 20 years' time. So again, another graph for you to have a look at. So electricity bill without solar. So the grey bars here are what we'd be spending throughout the year without solar. And then the blue bars here are electricity bills with solar. I try and keep things fairly conservative. I don't like to overstate things too much. You'll see here in January that we should get a $6 credit. And then throughout the year, we're keeping our bills fairly low. We actually had a credit, we installed our system in February, we had a credit in March and April. So it's actually performing better than we've anticipated in this graph, which is nice to see. So from an environmental standpoint, obviously the real value of solar is two components. One is the financial benefits and the other one is the environmental benefits. So if you look at a 6.6 kilowatt system, that's the equivalent of planting 176 trees per year, avoiding 2,925 litres of petrol per year, or not burning 3,324 kilos of coal. So again, it's a very good way to show your environmental concerns and do something that works for you as well. Okay, so probably the key component everyone's interested in, having a look at the overall pricing. So a 6.6 kilowatt system of this type is worth $8,500 including GST. That's before any rebates and so forth. So at the moment, for that size system, something just to explain too, the STC discount is actually variable depending on how much solar you put on your home. So if you put a 5 kilowatts of panels on, it'll be around 70 STCs. 6.6 is 86 STCs, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the system size goes up. So it's directly correlated to the size of the system that you install. In this case, we're looking at 86 STCs at a value of $35, which reduces the overall cost by nearly just over $3,000, so $3,010. Then, if you're eligible for the Victorian Solar PV rebate, you get a further $1,850 off that. So your total installed cost for a solar system of this type is $3,640, including GST. If we remember going back to the estimated annual savings, we were talking about $1,400. That means within 2.5 years, we've well and truly made our money back and heading into the black and having a good time. So you can then take advantage of the interest-free loan, which would further reduce the overall cost down to an upfront cost of $1,790. Whenever we're doing our calculations and showing you what the system will do for you, we put that under the final figure because we don't want it to be included in the return on investment calculations, as you do have to pay it back over a 4-year period. But certainly, if you if you install the right size system for your home, you'll find that you're generating and saving more than a lot more than you would be repaying each month. So yeah. Okay, so let me jump back into the presentation. Here we are. All right, I'll just check my notes. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're looking good. Okay, the value of batteries. Batteries are fairly new technology, and when I say fairly new, off-grid systems have been around for a very long time, but grid-connected, or what we call hybrid battery solutions, have been sort of starting to creep into the work that we do on a daily basis. The cost of them in the time that I've been in solar has greatly reduced. They're still a considerable investment, but they're really starting to get to a point where a lot of people are seeing value in having batteries. So the key components, being able to store any excess solar power that you generate for your own consumption at night or at times when you're actually using that power. Again, being able to buy less electricity. And then, one of the primary benefits of batteries at this stage is having backup power. So I'm sure there's nothing better than, sitting at home at night, the power goes out in the street and you're watching TV with the lights on, having a beer, and everyone else is sitting around with candles playing cards. So it's a pretty nice thing to be able to think about. Just to give you a bit of an idea, so that photo there is actually of this system. I'm just going to bring up some components. So this is live at the moment. So you can see here up the top right corner, this is today's date, 26th of the 8th. And I'll go through the color codes for you. Actually, if I hold that steady, you'll be able to see. So the green in the background is the state of charge of the battery, which you can see here. This is a 10 kilowatt hour battery system. You know, it's not dropped below 50 or 60% today. So the blue is the actual power being consumed by the house. The orange is the solar power being generated, and the feed-in is the red. So this particular house has a 6.6 kilowatt solar system with a 5 kilowatt inverter and 10 kilowatt hours of battery storage. So basically, since we put this system in, they haven't drawn any power from the grid, which is fantastic. You know, a lot of the calculations we do are fairly conservative. We look at about at managing about 80% of your total load, but in this case, we're actually able to show that we're, you know, pretty much managing 100% of their consumption with the solar and the batteries. It is good to, when you have solar and batteries, to still try and utilise your loads during the day, in your bigger loads, and then, you know, use that battery at night to be able to discharge and feed all the things that you're doing. And it does vary from house to house. If you've got electric only, you need a much bigger inverter and battery system to be able to make sure that you're managing all of those. It's good to see that we're getting a nice, you know, no grid consumption. That's the real kicker that everyone likes to see. Oh. We'll just duck back to the presentation. Here we are. Beautiful. All right. So just check that I've gone through everything there. Actually, let me go back one. So a couple of things to highlight for you as far as batteries are concerned. I showed you the figures before for a standard Grid Connect solar system. If you added batteries to that system, depending on the size of the battery, you'd be adding anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 worth of additional cost. Now, if you've got an existing solar system and you're looking to, and you're in an area that the Solar Victoria battery rebate is approved for, then you'll be able to apply for that $4,174 rebate. However, if you don't have a solar system existing, you can still claim the solar PV rebate. You just can't go and try and claim the battery rebate. So for that $6,000 to $12,000 investment, what are the additional savings? Over and above what the solar is doing for you now, the additional savings are between $400 and $700 per annum. So you can see that the solar is still doing the bulk of the work. The batteries are there to help subsidise and obviously to give you that good feeling that when the power goes, you've got plenty of lights and power for yourself. Where a standard Grid Connect solar system has a return on investment of 2 to 3 years, a battery system typically has a return on investment of around 6 to 8 years. And it really comes down to the individual desires and needs of each person. You know, you've got to look at how long do you think your house, you know, what's the value to me, all those sorts of things. But certainly has some strong advantages for you. Okay, so what's the process? That's a good question. So I've just shown you the design and quote that we utilise. So at the moment, what we do is an initial consultation where we talk to you on the phone, have a look at your power bills. Because we can't visit the site, we get you to send us a couple of photos and we can design up a solution for you that we think is going to work quite well. Once we get past that point and you're happy with everything that we've recommended, we then go and upload your details to the Solar Victoria portal. And you will get an email from them directly with a link. You click on that link and you go and do your application for your rebate. So the good thing about that is that you're 100% confident that when we do finally send you an invoice, that you're approved for the rebates that you're looking for. There's no guesswork. You're not worried about trying to claim it retrospectively. And we provide all of those rebates and discounts as an upfront deduction of the total cost. So you're only paying the net difference between what the total cost was, less all the rebates and discounts. You just pay that amount. So we then schedule you in for an installation. So a 6.6 kilowatt system, like we've been illustrating, takes a day for 3 guys generally. Obviously, as long as weather doesn't affect us and things like that. But generally 1 day installation is what we're aiming for. Commercial systems vary from a day to a couple of weeks, depending on what size system we're working with. Once the system's installed, it's then inspected by an electrical inspector, and their job is to make sure that everything's been done to compliant means, making sure that we meet all of the standards that are required. So we're not only meeting the electrical standards, but we're also meeting the Clean Energy Council standards, standards as a retailer. Despite some of the media, it is a very highly regulated industry. And I'm quite proud of the fact that I think the industry is heading in the right direction, and the installers that we're seeing in our industry are getting better and better every day. So it's good to see, but certainly it's a very stringent process that we follow. Once that certification has been provided, we then submit that paperwork along with a request to alter your meter. So the purpose of that, the meter alteration, is to enable the flow or enable the meter to read both the incoming and outgoing power. So then you're getting feed-in credits as well. And that's a really important overall process. If you look at the value split on a solar system, what you consume directly makes up around 50 to 60% of your overall savings, and what you're exporting makes up the balance, which is that 50 to 40%. So it is quite valuable to have that feed-in tariff, and it certainly subsidises a lot of the cost for you. As far as the way that we, the customer journey that we have with you, we take you through a fully guided process. So at every point throughout the process, we will communicate with you, let you know what you need to do next. You don't have to think about what's coming up or worry about certain things. It's all handled by us. Nicole, who runs the administration team, will be in direct contact with you and letting you know through communications every step of the way what's required and what comes next. Okay, so in summary, the true value of solar. Low entry costs. There's never really been a better time. If solar components has really come down to a point where they're affordable and available to everyone. 7 years ago, when I started installing solar, the cost of a solar system was about double what it is now. The products have gotten better and better. In the old days, we saw a lot of cheap products in the marketplace that barely got through 2 or 3 years of their life. Whereas the products that we're, trusting in now, we're seeing, good 10 years plus on inverters and 20, 30 years on panels. So it really comes down to a good quality installation and making sure that, you're working with a company that's going to be there to support you in the long term. So a high value return on investment, like I said, you can shut down your US stocks and just start buying solar systems for all your friends. It's the best way to go. And the environmental benefits are obviously there for you as well, which is a great thing. Okay. And that is me. So open to questions from anyone and everyone.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kevin. I'll just ask anybody. I was going to do that screen. That's okay.
Oh, so do you want me to bring that up again?
If you don't mind, please.
Sure. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Or we can pop it back on at the end if you like.
That's all right. I'll pick it up now for you. There you There you go.
I was just going to say, if anybody would like to take a photo of Kevin's contact details to get a consultation or one-to-one with Kevin on exactly your individual circumstances, just leave that up for a few minutes to be able to get those details. Or obviously you can just put Solstra into Google and you'll be able to find Kevin's details. Thanks, Kevin.
No worries.
Hey, if you'd just like to take it back off again, that'd be good.
No worries.
Lovely. And good evening to the people who joined just after the start. Welcome to our presentation. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask any questions you like. Yep, please go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, so I guess we can install the solar first without the batteries and then install the batteries later. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So any solar system that's ever been installed since the beginning of electricity can have a battery added to it separately. So yeah, every solar system out there has the potential to have a battery connected to it.
What is the expected lifetime of the panels?
So panels generally have two components to their warranty. So I'll explain that first and then I'll talk about the lifetime. So panels will have anything from a 10 to a 20+ year product warranty, which is the manufacturing component. And then they all have a 25-year performance warranty. So the performance warranty is basically talking about the degradation of panels over a long period of time. So over 25 years,